Trauma to Transformation project and her experience as teaching artist.
Hi, my name is Elvia Aguirre, and I work with Tia Chuchas through the program Trauma Transformation, and also with the community teaching arts. A little bit about Trauma Transformation. It's bringing in the arts onto the camps and transforming that trauma through the arts, right? Whether it be making poetry, making art, simply making music or rhythms. That's what we come in and do. And it's not like transforming the student, it's more like giving that environment where we have a little bit of space to share, community space, and get to know each other. Something that I've learned from my students while working throughout the years, even inside with like the trauma transformation students and in the exterior in the communities, is to be authentic, right? So you have to be 100% authentic every time you come into the class, right? They consent if you're not being real, and what they want is the real you, right? So you come in with the perspective like, you know, you're here to share space and you're here to show something that they might know or might not know. And at the end, we're sitting together or standing together, working on a project and getting to know each other. Yeah, some of the examples is like when we were doing virtually teaching, I was working with Freddy, and I was teaching a watercolor class. Like it was like a 30-minute session of like doing a watercolor project. And what happened was that the project really starts with like just coloring, and it takes you back like to like, oh, I'm a little kid, like why am I doing this? And we had one of the students like, I feel like I'm in kindergarten, why are we doing this? But to see their reaction and their response transform at the end of the class when they finished the project, they were like, wow, I didn't know I was an artist, I did this, I complete this. So that's what we bring in, right? Like, we're not trying to force them or to change them, right? We're just trying to bring them more knowledge so they have more space to learn other things. Well, one of the things is bringing more of these panels, right? Because this informs everybody in the community, not just like one side. You can carry these panels, whether it's be a recording of us, a little short film, or it can be like in person, and you're teaching other people the type of work that we're doing. Another way to support the students and their arts is also to have more of their artwork be exposed to the exterior of the camps, right? That means making maybe every 6 months or every year an exhibit where we can show their artwork, right? And the work that us as teachers do, but also the work that they create with their hands. Maggie. Yeah. So Maggie is, I've been working with Maggie, I believe, I don't really remember, but it was roughly like 2-3 years with Trauma Transformation. We started off at Nydorf, and there's when we started doing these kind of classes, right? Maggie works with a side along with me. We're like we are teammates, and what we do is like we bring in, we get together to create these projects so we can go in there and have things prepared for them, whether it be like 30 minutes of discussion, getting to know each other, and then another 30 minutes of like making art. The same thing with Freddie. When we were doing the virtual classes, he would bring in the knowledge of the ancestral drums or rhythms, and then we would merge that with ending like with a watercolor project or a drawing. And so we try to work in pairs, because then that brings that like ometeo, those two energies to create the work that we're doing, right? Instead of just like, oh, let's sit down and do this work and that's all we're gonna do. No, like we're trying to communicate, share some space, And at the end of the day, like, it makes me happy because we've done this, like we've been doing this work, and we try to improve it every time. And the last few classes that I've been like present there, like I've had students that like there's no retaliation. They're willing to work with us. They're looking forward to doing the work, and that's the great feeling of like we're doing the job that we should be doing with the youth or even with the adults. Thank you.
Everybody, welcome to today's panel from Trauma to Transformation. Today we have two of our teaching artists, and you just heard a video of another teaching artist that we work with, Elvia. But thank you for tuning in. We're here with the Festival of Renewal Regeneration, which is an event thanks to the Arts for Justice Fund, a national movement of organizers, activists, youth mentors, artists who are working towards bringing the national mindset to a change using the arts so that we can bring an end to mass incarceration. So we do that with Tia Chucha, with the programs that we offer in with Maggie and Freddie here, and a team of teaching artists are here. Later today we're gonna have poetry by the Trauma Transformation Poetry Team, which we're excited to hear later. But first I would like to welcome you all today, and I'm very happy to see both of you here. And please introduce yourselves and what do you do for Trauma Transformation? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. My name is Freddie Chavez, and grateful to be here, and just really have been having an incredible experience being involved with this Trauma to Transformation project, working with our youth, our incarcerated youth. I am also a danzante in the community, and we have a group of danzantes with my family we created. We work with our community teaching danza azteca. And the experience has been really profound for me here because I've been able to receive incredible workshops that have prepared me for working with our youth and using the arts, being an arts instructor within the camps and the juvenile system of incarceration.
Thank you. My name is Maggie Uribe, and I'm also a teaching artist from Trauma Transformation, predominantly in the juvenile halls and local community centers. I also am a service to Project Avery as a counselor for children whose parents are incarcerated, and I also work closely with California Conference for Equality and Justice for their conflict transformation team, Healing Harms.
Thank you both again for coming. So we want to start off with what's something that you've learned from your work as a teaching artist in trauma transformation and beyond. What are some things that you learned from your experience?
Do you want me to start?
Sure.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that's been really a profound experience for me has been to see some of our youth come in and be really closed and not open, but after creating a relationship through art, through drumming, through song, having them evolve and being more open and more expressive, and that's been really a really profound experience for me. It's really beautiful to see that. There's usually coming with their guard up, but they tend to open up as we open up. If we present ourselves as being authentic, genuine in our approach, we tend to get them to also participate with us and be active in our activities. Yeah.
Thank you.
I agree with Tata Freddy. We definitely have to come in as our most authentic selves. Our youth deserve to see and be with adults who have similar experiences, who can empathize, who sympathize with them, but are still in their light or in their authenticity, and come to them without fear, come to them with passion and with purpose. And art is our vehicle, right? Art is how we create, how we put our energy and our spirits in motion. And I really feel that it's very impactful for the youth to have this creative process and to be acknowledged and be seen and be heard. We've seen it firsthand, how they're guarded, sometimes hostile, but that's because they've been so bogged down by their circumstances. They don't have outlets, they don't have hobbies, they aren't seen in their communities. They're pushed aside, and we come in and we choose to work with them, right? We choose to work with sometimes the hardest youth, the folks that the children that people forget about, right? Because they're in their own subculture. But art is our vehicle, dance, song, music, art, painting, even colored pencils. The smallest thing brings them to light. You encourage them, you offer them support, and you just offer a brave space for them to be themselves. And what's most important is that they see us as ourselves as well. And I think that's been, as Tata Freddy explained, the most profound thing. It's magic. There's a moment that magic really hits. And I'm very grateful to have that experience and to work with the community and to be someone who I needed when I was younger. That's really impactful for me.
I guess adding to that question, what is the magic, is there a moment or a memory that you all feel that you would be like an example of a magic happening?
Yeah.
I can remember explaining storytelling and that technique, and how giving examples of sharing that shared experience. And as I was explaining the value of storytelling and how it unites us, and we created an activity where all the boys were adding to a story, and creating the story. And it was so incredible because the story took off and got a life of its own, but also there was a point there where we created such a relaxed environment and everyone was being real. And one student, I remember, he starts telling us the story. He's adding to the story, but he's actually talking about himself. But as he's telling us the story, he says, just remember, this is not real. Don't use it to incriminate me in court. You know,
Yeah.
it was so funny because, and we were just kind of, it was, but he was actually relieving himself of what he actually lived through, and it was like therapeutic. It was healing for him to unburden himself, and then we continued to add to it, and we added it, and we made it turned into a very humorous like tale, you know. But it was an incredible. That's where you see the magic, when everyone comes together, everyone's feeling, everyone's at the same the plane of communication. It was really great, good experience. Yeah.
I agree. There's so many moments, but the one that comes to mind is Elvia. We were winding down from the program, from the art class, and Elvia passed around her hand drum. And the boys were like, you gotta do it. It hypnotizes you. You feel it right here, you know? And then one of the boys are, you know, beating the drum, and one of the boys gets up. He gets up and he starts dancing, and he's just like doing a two-step, and you see the PO staff in the back, and they're just like not bobbing their heads, nodding their heads. And so we get to witness, right? We get to witness them come alive. We get to witness them really embody the experience that we're trying to convey to them, right? And to like that space, and they find that space within themselves, and that's really the most beautiful thing, is to see them just be themselves, be children, right? They're children. We forget that they're children, right? Who have seen so many adult things, who have had adult situations, and we get to witness them become children again. And we get to see them in their fire, and that's the magic for me.
That is very magical.
Yeah.
I remember those moments. And it was pretty interesting too that you don't really, we have COVID happening, right? And some of the restrictions were that you couldn't do the class in person, you had to do it through Zoom, but you all still had that moment, like, to connect, even though you were not physically there. So that was pretty powerful, like, to witness that, and then those moments too when, like, they just drop their guard and let themselves create or share. Those moments are very magical, and that's what keeps that fire going, I think, for us. So,
and the consistency too of constantly showing up and consistently encouraging them, and we held classes virtually, right? And we still got to have a rapport and a relationship where they were, you know, calling us by our names and things like that. And it's just, even via Zoom, there's still an energy that's connected within us all, because they see us, that we're in this work, that we're there for them. They're our priority in that moment.
So what does trauma transformation mean to you, both?
Well, the ability to see their experiences that they've had that brought them there, their traumatizing experiences, the trauma of living in that situation, and being able to see them transform that into an art form, whether it be rhythms or even a work of art that gets presented to them. I remember there was a point there where they come up with their guard up, and Elvia's creating a project, and it was real simple, laying out some colors, and one of the boys says, hey miss, we're not in kindergarten, what are we doing here, And he was and she's like, just go along with the project and follow the program, whatever she told him, in a way where he's grudgingly accepting, and we're laying colors and laying them on. And by the time we were done, we had a framed work of art. We had like a sunset and stars and all kinds, and I was following along right with them. And at the end, the transformation from the beginning of that class was, hey miss, I didn't know I was an artist, And he was sincere in what he said. He never realized, he didn't know, and because he produced a work of art. And so in just that short period, that's what it means to me, is being able to transform your experiences that you may consider not positive. We just transform it into a work of art. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree wholeheartedly. To me, it means to be able to take a really good look at yourself and to want to better yourself, to want to empower yourself, to know that you're worth so much more, to know that there's so much more to your life, to your spirit, to in your community that cares for you, right? And to know that you're worth more than whatever happened to you as a child, whatever happened to you as an adult, that you can grow from that you can honor your past, honor those circumstances that created you, but also fully form yourself into who you're meant to be. And I really believe that trauma and transformation, and all of us that work within this community, this group, we're honoring that. We're honoring that this path has brought us to our purpose, right? And we've been able to turn our pain into passion and really follow this path in a really good way. So yeah, that's what it means to me, is that we're able to transform that and transmute that energy.
Part of the process of them being able to even be open to doing the art or expressing themselves in the space that's not safe, that's like pretty powerful methods that y'all use to make it a brave space for them, because they're not safe. It's not going to be a safe space. It's in the prison. But like, what are some things that help make it a brave space?
We come in, we actually have a brave jar, right? And we come in with questions prepared so that we can get to know each other. And these questions can be as simple as, if unicorns and dragons existed, what would life be like, right? Or it can be as real as, what if your heart could speak, what would it say? And so we really ask them to unpack, to dig deep, and that builds trust, that builds their confidence, and I believe that also allows for them to take an internal look at themselves, and that may have been something they've never experienced before, and they're trusting us to offer that to them and create that space for them in that moment.
Right. Being able to create a space where it's okay to express yourself, it's okay where some of, like when we started with some of the rhythms I was teaching, sometimes they're like intimidated, like, oh, I want to do this, they want to execute it right from the beginning. And I always tell them, you can't make mistakes. This is all learning. This is lessons, there's no mistakes here. It's just lessons. So we're all here to learn. And eventually, when they're able to come in with the rhythms I present, once they start, they're like, wow, they start taking off. They start creating their own rhythms within which is what I wanted, within what we established, and that again, for example, that experience creates a moment of safety, a transformation of that space.
Encouraging them through that process.
And the challenge for us was we were supposed to be in there, but then with this virus that came, we had to go virtual, which, we just went, like I personally just said, okay, we'll make it work however we can, and that we have been able to make it work, and even though we're on the internet, we can be so much better when we go inside and work with them in there. So it's been a great experience in that sense. Yeah.
Do y'all have any kind of process to help prepare you to go in, or to go in, like as in start the class virtually, or even when you're doing the park sessions in the community, or like now we've been going into the juvenile hall recently. Is there anything that y'all do that can give tips to maybe somebody that's another teaching artist to go into a place like that, to be able to offer that kind of, to facilitate a space of expression and community building? Do y'all have your own practice that you do?
Well, yeah, I have one, and what I can suggest is that you develop a type of a ritual or a ceremony of some type where you ground yourself before you go in. And my particular process is lighting some sage or lighting copal, which is a sap from a tree in Mexico that we use. And it's used in Mexico like the way the sage is used, where our good intention goes into the smoke, which goes to Creator. And so we eliminate like the negative energy around us, and that's our form of grounding ourselves. But there's other ways. I mean, there's poets and writers that have their own ways of grounding themselves. For example, some writers will have, like, if they can afford that, a cabin in the woods that they go to that's in that special place, and they'll get up at 4 a.m. and they'll put that tea and they'll go to that special desk with that special pen and but with their cup of tea. And that's all, again, it's ritual and ceremony in a more of like a secular way. It's the same thing of grounding to kind of be able to receive, that gift of creativity as you go in, because not only do you go in prepared with your material and things like that, but you also need to be able to be creative in the moment, to be able to tap into that what the poets and writers call the stream of consciousness, because there may be moments when things shift so fast, and you have to have, forget the agenda, forget the whatever lesson plan you had. You need to shift the energy to something else, and that's just preparation tools that you have. There was a moment one time I remember in a situation where some of the youth were just real restless, and this was at a different scene. It wasn't on this particular project, and they were very like disruptive and very playful and loud, and everything I was trying to do, I was losing the control of the situation. So I just immediately said, okay, since we're all full of this energy and we're full of this playfulness, we're gonna just do the monkey dance, or we're gonna just dance like a monkey. And I started acting like a monkey, moving around, and that just shifted everything. And then I started a rhythm, and I started to dance, and I just like, because I work with dance, I had that as part of my tool to, I identified what was happening, and I transformed that situation into a dance, So things like that. It's just, again, as an artist, we can all come together, the poets, the painters, the dancers, and share with each other our techniques and our ways of shifting energy in a good way.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I think personally for myself, just being really grounded in knowing the purpose of that lesson of the day. I agree, having several backup plans, C, D, E, F, maybe to T sometimes, because you never know what you're going to encounter in the space. The girls or the youth may come in from a really hard day, right? And we're coming in and we're like, hey, what's going on? And they're just like, nah, we're not having it. So it's definitely being grounded in yourself, not taking things personally with them. Also being very objective with them. Having a really strong sense of self and a sense of why you're going in there, why you're going into the youth spaces with them. Personally, I feel that I need to grow my practices more of grounding myself as I go in. I become just so centered in wanting to be with them, wanting to offer them that space. And I think that helps me. I think that helps me facilitate the sessions. But I do believe that having a really strong toolbox, skill set, practices, activities for them, things of that nature. I think that's really important for facilitators to encourage themselves and to just to working with youth. Yeah, but I think for me is knowing that being in that session and encouraging that space of creativity or of conversation is my priority, and that's what grounds me in the work, definitely.
Okay. What kind of support do y'all feel would be good for this kind of work? Or like any kind of support or some ways that help bring people together, that I guess tips or anything that helps bring people together in the community, or maybe an example of that, like let's see, like when you all were doing the park sessions, how was that? Like, can you tell me more of how y'all like facilitate that space and what it was that you all did in there?
Sure.
Yeah. So,
Go ahead, Sam.
sure. So I think we knew that we were going to offer a space with instruments and rhythm and dance. We didn't necessarily have folks signed up to participate, but once they heard the drums, once they saw the activity, once Tata Freddy and his family, Danzantes, started to create the space and create the energy, people just came. So I think that's really the tip, right? Is create the space. Create the space. Allow yourself to collaborate with other folks, right? Because we really do need a team to make these activities happen. And then I believe when folks see the heart and feel that, they'll come. They'll come and they'll want to assist and they'll want to engage and be a part of it.
Yeah, we would call the community with a conch shell, and start our ceremony to open the 4 directions with the drums. So that draws attention, and then people start coming, and then we move that energy with dance, and then we make a presentation, and we just start talking and storytelling or sharing different type of activities. But I guess the support that we could use to make this better is promoting the work that they're producing, and acknowledging the value and or demonstrating to the community how significant and important it is to transform their reality, and their art can transform our concept of who these youth are. Because people tend to just think, well, they're in there for something, they must have done something wrong. Just making that assumption without realizing these are young people and they're getting trapped into this, there's like a cycle that entraps them. They're being entrapped, you know. They're young and they're being sometimes taken advantage of, you know. Some of them have suffered, you know, traumas, emotional traumas, and they've been hurt, you know, and that hurt turns into anger and is being manipulated by, you know, other people that are just, you know, abusive, you know, to these young people. But when we are able to spend time with them and share experience with them and listen to their humor, listen to that child sometimes that's there, it's such an incredible experience to realize, hey, we gotta help these people, you know, grow and evolve and transform from this situation, you know. That's why we're here. That's our responsibility.
Amplifying their voices, amplifying their voices, amplifying who they are, highlighting their accomplishments, you know, celebrating them. They may have never been celebrated before, so celebrating them, that they created all of this. And so I think that's crucial to them.
How has it helped you all? You all offer the space, but what did you get? I guess your own personal lessons from the experience. Like, is there something that maybe sticks out to you?
Well, yeah, to be totally prepared and have a, you know, and be able to shift. I had to learn how to do that. Because there's a few times when it's like, oh, it's getting pretty intense here. We're losing their interest. So that's great. That's a good challenge. But what's helped us a lot, what's helped me a lot, what's been so incredible, is being able to laugh with them. You know, sometimes they come in with some things that are they're so funny, man. You know?
They are.
Yeah, and that's what's beautiful. The laughter is the most incredible experience because it brings us into the present moment, you know what I mean? And laughter is a medicine. It's a healing. Because what are you worried about when you're laughing, you know, really? And it forces you to be present and in the moment. And that's what's up. It's about being in the moment. You know? Yeah.
I
agree.
Yeah.
I've really learned to be in the moment, to be aware, to negotiate because children, youth, they know what they want, they know what they need, and so being able to negotiate that of listening to their needs, to shifting when it's needed, definitely being prepared, being consistent, authentic is, I think, is for me priority, being authentic, being my best self when I'm with them, because when we come in, that's who they need, that's what they want, and if we're not authentic with ourselves, they sense that, they know what's up. And so I think that's been the biggest lesson, is to maintain authenticity, be consistent with them, and I think also, being playful. I've definitely learned to be playful, that they need that, and so many times as adults we forget that part of ourselves, is that we do need play, we do need laughter, and being with them encourages that. So I really feel like I've learned a lot from them. Thank you.
Yeah, the childlike behavior is where all that imagination and creativity is there, flowing, and to be able to kind of bring that out, that's good.
Yeah, it's
That's
important not to keep that in mind as, we live, is to keep that. Happiness is the key, essential part of living, and being able to cultivate our own happiness, and so those moments are very treasured. Thank you for sharing that. I see behind us we have work that some of the students have put together, and Miss Sylvia would put these beautiful displays out. So is there anything you would like to share when it comes to the work that we have right here?
Yeah, definitely. So these art classes are with youth who have never really set up anything before, completed anything. So I think that I would like to highlight that throughout the process, they don't trust it sometimes. They don't trust the process, and we have to constantly, consistently encourage them and let them know, you're not perfect the first time. It's like when you're like a baby, when you're learning how to walk. You're stumbling, you're tripping, but you're still going to learn how to walk. And once they complete, this framework of art or anything like this, you can see it in them. They just feel so empowered. When we leave the classroom, they're like, bless you, miss.
All right.
And they're just so grateful. And I really want to highlight their work, and honoring that they really put effort into it. They really follow, and we get to trade art at times, and so I really want to honor that and acknowledge them, and Envia is a great teacher, and the way that she's come to offer them short lessons, right, because we only have an hour, but she's been able to offer them, an accomplishment within that hour, and I really thank her for that, and then they see it on the board, and they're just like, oh, that's mine right there, so.
It's like a moment of the pride to have your work up on the board, and she's something that's really great of her to do that, and I think that shows a lot of love, is that she makes sure to take a picture, because she knows in the future she wants to display, what does she call it, a gallery walk? So then yesterday we were in class, and we saw some of the boys were pointing out their oh, that's mine, so, and they were happy to see it up, so. Yeah, I'm glad that she's really good at that. And she put this together. I think this was from a different year, right?
Yeah, this is from 2018, 2019. And this is our most recent class that we just culminated, the 2 boys class in Unit E and F.
Oh, wow.
We just culminated in this class week.
Is there anything you would like to add? I think we're going to shift to Q&A, but before we shift, is there anything you'd like to add from this conversation?
There's nothing really that I could think of other than just grateful for the opportunity to learn and experience this project. Yes.
Yeah, really grateful to be in such a great community, because that's what it takes. It's community care. Is really what we're doing, and what we're offering is taking care of our community and ensuring that hopefully they can come out and reach out to us whenever that time may be for them. I'm really grateful to you, Rebecca, for all the work that you do and coordinating us, and we have a great team, so I'm very, very grateful. great people that are part of Tia Chuchas.
Mhm.
It's like when it first started in 2018, I guess there's so many people that were part of Tia Chuchas for many years that all I had to do was go in the room and be like, oh, I'm part of Tia Chuchas, and then welcome right away. And I think that just shows how many years, I mean, because it's our 20th year, of how many people, a part of the community like yourselves and people are outside, Luis and Trinity and everybody that's been having this space for 20 years. And I was like, am I going into these conferences or these meetings, and I just say I'm from Tia Chuchas, and I'm well received, that people know of Tia Chuchas, and I think it's because of everybody that makes up Tia Chuchas. So, and that's including you all, volunteering all the time. I always see y'all do it extra, so, and that's for many years, so I'm really thankful to work with both of you, and for other folks that are not here right now, but like Alvia, we heard from her too, and just shout out to everybody that's part of the Chuchas and keeping this work going. Being part of the community is being part of something bigger, so what Luis says is really, really essential to transformation, being part of something bigger, right?
Absolutely. Right.
Yeah, thank you both for being part of this, and I'm honored to also be with y'all too. So,
Thank you, Rebecca.
do you have any questions?
Yeah, just one.
Okay.
Mhm.
So I guess maybe 5-10 years from now, where would you like this program of trauma to transformation to go, or what's your what vision for it?
You want to go, Mary?
Well, you can go.
Yeah.
If you got an answer, you go.
5 to 10 years. I would like to see. Wow, that's a while, but the impact of. I'm sure we're gonna see the impact of what we've done, and to have that youth here at the Chuchas teaching or presenting something would be profound for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just having the project be ran by students, I think that would be great. Having them collaborate, being teaching artists,
Yeah.
keeping it going, like that's what I would like to see.
Mhm.
That's definitely the dream.
Part of it.
Yeah.
That's like a big part of it.
And we have one more question by Ramiro. So how has being a teaching artist made changes in your own life, and what's that change?
I think it's definitely brought to attention the various issues that I need to heal, right? That we need to heal from also as a community. It's definitely allowed for me to dig deep within myself and pack things within myself as well, so that I can be my best self, to be present with the youth, to be consistent with them. And the dream really is for them to take on our roles, right? To be mentors to them, to be examples, possibilities for them. But the dream really is for them to take on our roles and to carry on this work. But yeah, that's really what it's allowed for me. It's changed me as a teaching artist.
Yeah, the change for me has been to really continue to do the work, internal work that I need to do to stay grounded and continue to develop the skills and all the tools necessary to be able to provide for them. To be able to just always be able to not only have a plan B but C and D, and then if need be throw all that out, but be able to just have the opportunity to maintain a positive environment. Yeah. So, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
That's it for today for our panel. Thank you again for taking the time to put this together. I know y'all were eating to even be here, and I'm really grateful for that, how much heart that I see both of you put into the work, into work that you do with Tia Chuchas and outside. And I learned so much from you all, and I'm really very grateful to know both of you. And yeah, thanks to Alvia also for putting this together and for her words earlier. But thanks to y'all. We're gonna have poetry next by Trauma Transformation Poetry Team and some drumming. And some folks that might be in the audience may want to share too, or hopefully they also can have some other poets come up to the mic. But thank you all again for joining us. We're gonna have the poetry, and if you missed the last 2 days, we had really great panels by our co-organizations collaborations, and this is thanks to the Arts for Justice Fund, Arts and Advocacy Project. So thank you all, Dignity and Power Now, and Puku for joining us into this project, and thank you for tuning in.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back for the third day of the Festival of Renewal and Regeneration. So right now we're entering our spoken word portion, and it is my honor to introduce our poets and open mic leaders, Ramiro Rodriguez, Kasasi Hill, William Gonzalez, and Roman Castro. So Ramiro was born in Bellflower, California, and raised in the Humboldt Park neighborhood of Chicago. Affected by the gang life, Ramiro served 13 and a half years prison sentence in the Illinois Department of Corrections. Ramiro made his transformation to becoming a published poet with a self-published chapter book titled Coming Home, and a mentor to youth in many of the communities of Chicago and the Northeast San Fernando community of California. After his release from prison in 2010, Ramiro has stayed connected to his ancestral roots of Mexico as a Mexica danzante and continues to follow the road of the Mexicayotl. This road is where Ramiro has found true healing for himself, even as he struggles to becoming a better father of 3 and grandfather of 5. Now, Kasasi, after serving over 25 years in prison for a gang-related murder, Kasasi is now an aspiring author, poet, creative writing instructor, and youth mentor. He's a mentor at Tia Chucha Centro Cultural Trauma to Transformation program. By blending the ancient arts of poetry and storytelling, he shares a life journey full of trauma and transformation, raw honesty, and healing. And we have William A. Gonzalez. He is a working class poet, father, and mentor to brown and Black youth. Gonzalez is an award-winning author of Black Bubblegum. Witnessing the flowering of his daughters in life brings him an endless joy. And finally, we have Roman, a musician based out of Montebello, California, with a wide variety of musical influences. As a child, the drums captured his attention, and he has been on a rhythmical journey ever since. Over the years, he has cultivated a passion for learning and teaching people of all ages and backgrounds. So now I'm going to stop talking and let the group take it from here.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ramiro Rodriguez, and I am honored to be here with this festival of Renewal and Regeneration. Thank you to my brothers with the drumming. It was great. It was, it's healing, it's energy, it's helping us to start, get this party started. I just want to thank Patricia for introducing us. Again, my name is Ramiro Rodriguez. I am from Chicago. I ended up serving 13 and a half years in prison in Illinois Department of Corrections. And a part of all of that, and despite all of that, I have made some really positive changes in my life. And it's because of communities like Tia Chucha's and our families and people that have supported us through these years that has helped. And also poetry. Poetry has been a really and a tremendous step in making sure that my life is not condemned behind bars, or even mentally. And just remember too, this festival also is a reimagining of what the world can be without mass incarceration, without us having to incarcerate our young people, without us having to incarcerate our communities, with us bringing in healing and resources into our communities from the trauma. And remember, this is generational historical trauma, over 500 years that we're still dealing with it, and we're overcoming, and we're making something positive from all those traumas. We're making a transformation in our lives, and we're showing people how to do it. We just had a great panel. They really were discussing some of the ways that they are able to go into these prisons and halfway houses, and they're able to contribute and make changes also and help a lot of young people to make positive changes in their lives. Okay, so I'm gonna start reading poetry. So I had an honor a couple years ago to be an assistant with Kasasi at Orion House. I was helping with the creative writing classes that he was teaching. And so some of these poems are untitled, but there are some of the poems that I was able to write when I was there. And they are a little dark, but it's also, it just shows, I've been through a lot, I've seen a lot, but poetry has helped me to handle and making sure that I don't fall into this abyss. I've fallen in it many times before, and I've always been able to overcome it. And so these poems are just a reflection of just some of the things that I've been through, but how I was able to overcome them. My mind travels through a doorway of uncertainty. Memories are flooded with chaos and destruction. My heart struggles to hold on. Then a light engulfs my soul, an energy that penetrates deep into my cells, my bones, my blood. An energy of creativity, imagination, and wisdom. An energy that shakes me, frightens me, pushes me, forces me to recognize that I am not the diseased, caged animal they had brainwashed me to believe I am. Our ancestors left us a blueprint of ritual, ceremony, traditions to help us break down those barriers that do not allow us to see that we have a genius inside of us that needs to emerge so that we can be that enlightened, powerful, and humble human being. Can I be that killer? That drug dealer? That destructive madman? Yes. Can I also be that lover, that savior, that mentor that will save the world? Also, yes. It's that crossroads that's in front of me every day. It's a crossroads that only I can face alone. So there's another poem, same from the same class, untitled. And so here it goes. The strength to survive, the strength to cry, the strength to love, the strength to forgive. Bombarded by the bullets of hate, my grave awaits me. I lay in dirt, covered by the madness that ignites this energy of insanity that just wants to destroy my relationships, destroy my achievements, destroy my opportunities of freedom. Who do I cry out to? Am I a worthy of spirit? Can I be redeemed? Can I be saved? The hurt inside festers and grows. The hurt is consuming. The hurt has a voice that screams, a voice that challenges me to be more than what the oppressors have had planned for me. And then a whisper seeps into my blood. An echo escapes, and what is reverberated is silence. The silence of change, the silence of redefining who I need to be to connect to the strengths of the spirit that have been there for me since the beginning, when I had closed my heart, when I had closed my joy. The spirit that tells me I deserve to be alive. One more poem from this class. Okay. My life soars through sharp daggers that pierce deep into my humility. I am in union with who I am, constantly wavering, confused, and distressed. I look up at the stars, seeking guidance, only to find I am directed into oblivion. My fate is empty, destiny laughs. A path opens up and I am pulled by a magnetic connection, a relationship between mentor and between ancestor and child. I am born through the distortions. My loneliness is my salvation. My salvation is my legacy. My legacy is my doom. This poem was dedicated to one of my brothers that had passed away in Chicago back in 2019. He was making changes in his own life, but being in the streets, it still takes a hold of us. And so I just wanted to, real quickly read that poem. And his name was Freddy Santiago, and he was a good brother. So these next two poems, I haven't really been writing much, and you would think through all the pandemic, with all the time that we had, I should have been writing. But I was able to come up with two poems, and it's just a sign of what we were going through. The pandemic was almost like a prison for all of us too, And we had a lot of time to just reflect, and I hope everyone was able to do it in a positive way, and hopefully to reflect that that they're important, that they mean something, and this world belongs to them. So this one's called Storm. I am but a shadow of my past, an entity caught up in an endless storm. My sorrow rains down on me, drenched in pain, hurt. I have no one, nothing to hold on to embrace, to love, to be happy with. Loving myself is not enough. And then that storm makes my heart cold, numb. The world has left me, carried me out to the ocean because of judgment. I can't escape the loneliness. I can't escape my shackled spirit. Imprisoned by this emptiness deep inside my body, an emptiness that has guided me nowhere, that has guided me into an endless storm, a storm of isolation, a storm of despair. So this last poem I'm gonna read, I just know I'm doing really good. From the poems and these poems that you read, I know. He's like, man, this guy's messed up. He's depressed, he's sad, he's in a bad place. But no, you know what? My life is good. I'm positive. I've been sober for over 20 years. you know, so that's helped a lot, you know, and I'm a Mexica danzante, you know, being connected to my ancestral roots, my traditions, you know, that's really helped me out a lot also. So, but we're all dealing with pain, we're all still dealing with traumas, and this is where I'm able to let it out, because before I was able to let it out in a very angry way, rageful way, destructive way. I hurt myself, my family, my community, you know, and poetry's helped me to be able to do it in a way where I don't have to hurt anyone, and people can learn, and we can all learn together. So this last poem, in saying that, I'm just gonna say, okay, this last poem is called Smile, for the world hates you. Blood, trauma, pain, a little boy hungry for hate, a little boy alone, swallowed by the darkness that has infected his soul. He sits alone in a corner, knife, gun, needle. This is his existence. Parents divorced, abandoned father, neglectful mother. He screams to the sky. The earth soaks up his tears, and his scars are tattooed onto the world. His vengeance is horror embraced by fright, and that darkness sets his path, guides his future, leads him down that spiraling road that strips his spirit bare. His happiness is his death. So, real quickly, we all need something to die inside of us to make that transformation. And a lot of that pain and the hate is what died. And now I'm in a good space. And I really want to thank the Tia Chucha community for that. I want to thank everybody here who's listening and everybody who's been a part of my life to help make those changes. My family, my kids, I got 5 grandkids. May not look it, I know, but yes. So thank you, everyone. And I want to now next, I want to introduce our next poet, William Gonzalez. This is my brother. Pretty much been, all 3 of us, with Casasa too, we all been through the same things, just in different times, different places. But together as brothers, we were able to heal with one another, and I want to thank both of them for that. So, William Gonzalez.
My name is William A. Gonzalez. I am the great-grandson of cotton pickers from Ahuachapan, El Salvador. I was born and raised in Los Angeles, California. My mama came to this country during the late 60s, the 60s movement, and her grind had us living in unincorporated parts of Los Angeles, so that's all I knew when I was growing up. So a lot of my trauma started there. So for me, it's important to be part of these events because I've spent 23 years straight of grinding, doing great things in the community, helping out the youth, working, and becoming involved in spaces like Tia Chucha's. And I remember that I used to hear older guys talk about, you know, I've been in jail for 30 years, 27 years, I've been in and out and all this stuff. And I used to say, man, those are crazy stories. But I want to create my own story that shows that I can do it nonstop without having the system keep grasping me and sucking me into the system. And they haven't personally sucked me in, but you know how when we grew up in these type of environments, we have people in our families that still go through it, and our friends, and so that's why it's important for me to be in places like this And I like to say, like, you know, like when you're, like Ramiro was showing, right? You do like the trauma, you write it all out, and then the transformation, right? You create the art that actually, you know, gets printed or becomes music or becomes paintings or becomes part of rituals, right? So that's kind of what's been happening with me. I've never stopped writing, and I've written a couple books. I'm the award-winning, just to show off, award-winning author of Black Bubblegum, nothing but urban poetry and stories. And it's important for me to share this because, you know, I come from nothing, from urban settings, from all kind of trauma. And then all my runner-ups were PhDs when I won the award at the New England Book Festival. And I didn't even have a degree, y'all. So I'm just sharing that with y'all. Let's not get that confused though, but now I am about to graduate from Mount St. Mary's University with a degree in business. Let's not get that confused, I'm still working on that. And I have a daughter who graduated with a degree in economics from San Jose State. And she has got picked up by LA County. I'll stop there. I'll read some poetry for y'all. Like I said, I have a sister that is still causing trauma in my life because she's still incarcerated. She's been incarcerated for 12 and a half years. Her name is Janet Luz Gonzalez. She's incarcerated for a crime that she did not commit. In our old communities, they used to spray the RICO Act. Some of y'all know what that is. They start spraying the RICO Act. They will convict one person for a crime that one person committed. The federal government used to take 30 to 40 people, and that's how they eliminated a lot of people in our communities. The Westlake District, South Central Los Angeles. I lived in Ghetto Watts, the Nickerson Gardens. Wow. I've been there in the 90s. I used to catch the bus from Ghetto Watts all the way to the valley up here, and all that and all that. So this is my sister, and I can't, you know, it's in process. It just happened in July, this little piece that I wrote, you know what I mean? So I get a text from my young sister, her name is Jenny. And the text reads, Janet, who is my older sister, is getting out of prison next week. Tears full of pain and joy and anger start streaming down my face as I'm sitting alone in my living room. My breathing picks up, chest starts pumping out of control. Now I've turned into that child that just got whooped by an extension cord. I cry and keep on crying. Then I smile and cry again. Then I smile and cry again. The taste of sweaty, salty tears have never tasted as good as they do on this day. In this moment, I begin to wonder and think of intersectionality. How many colored women, like my sister, have had their crossroads snatched from their lives? Because my sister is also disabled and can't write. Is this a calling for me to write on her behalf? Shit, I don't know, but I'm doing it. A week later, Janet Luz Gonzalez is free. I receive a picture of her riding back to California via a text. And then another picture of her shopping at Walmart. She has this big old Kool-Aid smile. I'm happy, our family is happy. The next morning, Janet checks into a halfway home in South Central Los Angeles. Our family begins to plan many of things for her. After the sun goes down, on this same day, I get another text from my young sister. It reads, Janet got picked up by the feds again. They have her in the Orange County jail. I began to cry again. It's August 21st, 2021, and Janet is still locked up. They won't tell us why. It just says federal hold next to her name. From my sister. Now, the clapping and that kind of stuff makes me kind of uncomfortable, to be honest with you. So Tia Chucha has been, it's a dear place to me, man. And I created a piece and I dedicated it to Tia Chucha when Tia Chucha was in the old space. And yeah, it's a place that has helped me heal, connect with other folks that have dealt with trauma and all the different elements of mainly working class poor people, I'd say. And so I'm embedded, man, to Tia Chucha's for life, you know. And so I wrote this piece, and I wrote the piece like out of just the experience of coming to the community space. And I named it In the Valley. The only thing that's gonna change here is that there's no ceiling tiles no more. This place is really fancy now. It's all like, it's a nice little place. It got all the nice stuff, you know. I'm used to the old school little hole in the wall. However, it goes a little something like this. In the valley, there is an umbrella where art dances to many unheard songs, music instruments, unified fingerprints filled with worldwide passion. In the valley, there is an umbrella where sincerity humbles you at the front door. Books written by many unknown writers stand straight up, their words ready to plunge through your pupils, briefly scale down your spinal cord just to creep up into your lungs and into your corazón. In the valley, there is an umbrella where humanity melts stories written by shining the sun within their own being on top of them. Fear is unbraided only to be recombed into straight lines of truth. In the valley, there is an umbrella where particles sleeping above ceiling tiles are blown away by speakers during Friday night open mic events. In the valley, there is an umbrella where a mechanic can recite a poem written in car oil that still drips from his hands right after work, while 500-year-old spirits dance to son jarocho in the background. In the valley, there is an umbrella where once stray children lost in neighborhood traps graduate as youth ambassadors that will empower future generations to come. In the valley, there is an umbrella where those who once drowned in mystery today swim within circles of self-healing creations. In the valley. And I'll read one more, y'all. I'll read one more. And I'm sorry because my eyes ain't that good and the lighting here, I'm not used to being famous. Oh, before I forget, actually before I read this last poem, we have open mic and we have 3 people signed up for it. So, if it's okay, I would like to call the first name up. Man, I want to say, it looks like a O-S-H-A-N, Oshan, or Deshaun. Is that, okay, Deshaun. Hey, everybody give it up for Deshaun.
I don't need no beat. I'm gonna just do it. How y'all doing? My name is Deshaun. I go by Caparelli. You can check me out on Instagram, Caparelli1035, SoundCloud as well. I'm here to do a little song. I wasn't even prepared for this, but let me see. I need I'm gonna just go off the heart. I'm gonna do it like this. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Look, my curtains closing, come and rescue me. Come and rescue me. Come and rescue me. Yeah, 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 yeah. I'm crying daily, but no one hears me. Nobody hears me. Nobody hears me. Yeah, look. I'm feeling this pain in my heart. I'm feeling these nightmares attacking in the dark. But who can I blame because I'm sitting in the dark? Or who can I call on with no one to call? Do I have any friends or do they know what I'm facing? I can't count on them because most of them be faking. And tell you that they love you, tell you that they care. But when the brother really in need, they ain't really there. Food on the table, but they ain't trying to share. Babies out here dying, but they ain't trying to help. The poor need wealth with some food on the shelf. We had a brother for a president. It's like he wasn't there. 8 days of struggle, we survived in one from by putting God first when you're living in the slums. We got brothers in the pen without a chance to see the future, and every day a different law, man. They try to do you. I gotta maintain and keep my head up to make it, cause if I get caught slipping, they'll try to take it. My mama always told me you gotta stay strong, and my daddy used to say the same thing, just hold on, but my curtains closing, come and rescue me. Come and rescue me. Come and rescue me. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm crying daily, but no one hears me. Nobody hears me. Nobody hears me. Look. Ain't nothing really changed, the same thing going on. The little kids on the block, the little kids becoming grown, plus the law getting stricter. When the way to try to make it, we ain't going to trials, it's deals that we take it. A lawyer only playing for the cash cause the rules with a mandatory chance that a brother gonna lose. Damn, and it hurts to see my people daily stressing. Another life God took him by learning the lesson. The DA praying on the win to beat the cases, building up their status, becoming more racist. Scared to go to trial cause we can beat the cases, so they offer us deals with no hesitation. Cameras on the block, cameras in the hood. They even tried to ban us like death row should. My mama always told me you gotta stay strong, and my daddy used to say the same, just hold on, but my curtains closing, come and rescue me. Come and rescue me. Come and rescue me. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm crying daily, but no one hears me. Nobody hears me. Nobody hears me. Yeah, 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 yeah.
That was Deshaun, man. That was hard. And so we'll keep the open mic going. And the way we can trap some of your friends is I'll call the next name. And then once you take the stage, we'll call the other person after the fact. That way they don't leave us. And they get to enjoy the rest of the show. So the next person on the open mic list is Rebecca. Rebecca, give it up for Rebecca. Good to see you.
Okay, just for real, this is not my poems, but I just wanted to highlight this book that it's called Make a Poem Cry. It just came out, I think it was last year, and it's a book with folks that took Luis Rodriguez's class in Lancaster, the prison in Lancaster. So I just wanted to present this, and I'm pretty shy, I don't really perform, but bear with me because I think it's a really important book to highlight. I love these poems. I'm gonna share a couple of them that were like my favorite, but a lot of them, there's so many good ones, but I'm gonna share these two short ones. Okay, so this poem's by Spoon Jackson. It's called Calm. Most people shy away and not towards a storm. Most people back away and not try to ride a tidal wave. But there is a calm at the heart of a storm, sometimes peaceful and warm. I long to step into tranquility, the silence of a hurricane where cherry blossoms form. No bickering, no hatred, no bullying, and no lies, just calm in the midst of chaos. There must be untold light there, slumbering goddess, where kindness flourish, and one can leave this world behind. Spoon by Spoon Jackson Calm. And can you do the drums? Yeah, because I'm not, that was amazing. Okay, so thanks, Roman, for drumming. So Spoon Jackson, heal. Like a heart that keeps giving, I must keep believing in the power of healing. Sometimes I grind down so hard on my teeth, I crack them during sleep. I must wear a tooth guard at night. Sometimes I long deep, cry alone, or with a loved one. Will open your eyes, your heart, the power of healing. Like a heart that keeps giving, I must keep believing in the powers of healing. Sometimes just a smile, a hug, a kiss, or a hello will heal the soul. Sometimes a book, a letter, a song, a poem, a dream, or loss of a loved one will open your eyes, your heart, to the power of healing. Sometimes a long silence, solitude, a tree, a meadow, a long howl or swallow song will open your eyes, your heart to the power of healing. I don't know what or who I have not forgiven. I don't know that there's something that needs healing, that like a heart that keeps giving. I must keep believing. I must keep believing in the power of healing. So, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you everybody who wrote on this book. Yeah, thank you all for watching.
Thanks. Yeah.
So, thank you, Rebecca. So, yeah, I actually was able to read a poem for one of the brothers that's incarcerated out of this book. And instead of sharing a piece of mine, I'm going to share the piece that I did for him. And that's another beautiful thing. Not only are we engaging in the arts, right, and trauma to transformation out here, but we're also helping the brothers that are locked up and giving them a voice while they're locked up. And I think that's amazing to me. So, if I remember, it was Sean Kelly, but I gotta remember the page he was on. Oh, let's see. Give me 1 second, guys. Oh my God, I don't remember the page. Are they in order? Do you remember somebody? Sean Kelly. There we go, right here, 71. Sean Kelly, man. Yeah, I wrote this piece as a quick one. It's for Sean Kelly, on behalf of Sean Kelly. I'm losing my mind. Weeks, months, years go by, but I'm frozen in time. Crying, praying, hoping, living a nightmare, but somehow my eyes are open. Mad, sad, and angry while my friends are out laughing and joking. Incarcerated, isolated, segregated, physically fit, but mentally whipped. Gagged and bound, crying on the inside, but not a tear falls down. If this were my path, then Lord, take me now. Suicidal, at times homicidal, trying to fix this broken soul is like solving a puzzle with no fingers and blindfolded. In these few lines is my heart unfolded. Don't enclose it, but hold it in your mind so you know what's in mine. Very few can see, but now you can actually say you know me. That is Me by Sean Kelly, who is incarcerated and has a piece in this anthology called Make a Poem Cry. And it's art for justice fun. It's another great production by Tia Chucha Press. With that being said, I would like to introduce the next brother who's gonna take the stage. He's quickly become like the older brother kind of I never had. We're gonna trap him. See, we're gonna let him do it so that guy doesn't leave. Because we're supposed to call somebody else on the open mic list, but we don't want y'all to leave. Because sometimes y'all got clicks. We know this game already. With that being said, yeah, Kasasi Hill does a lot of work and is very embedded with the youth, with community spaces like Tia Chucha's. And his story is very amazing. It's a story that needs to be told. And his transformation is truly remarkable, and it's something that I really, really admire. With that being said, I'll introduce the great Kasasi Hill.
I appreciate you. First of all, I pray that the Creator guides my tongue and protect me from misleading and being misled. And I pray that He opens your heart to whatever vibration that comes from you that's of good, and to close your spirit to whatever negativity that comes from me that's bad. Because I am human and capable of both. Now, with that said, my name is Kisasi Hill, and I'm a part of the Trauma to Transformation program here at Tia Chucha's. And it's been more than a blessing, for me, because I literally grew up here in this community. So the work that Tia Chucha's does in the community is literally in the community that I grew up in. And even the community I grew up in, you got to take that with a grain of salt. Why? Because at the age of 16, I was incarcerated for a gang-related murder, tried as an adult, and then sentenced to 15 years to life. I served 27 years in prison and got out, And when I got out, you got to understand, when I left the world, I left it from a 16-year-old's perception. And when I returned to the world, I returned to the world as a man in his mid-40s, 45-year-old man. You know, so trying to juggle those two realities was traumatic in itself. So it was going to be necessary for me, coming back into this community, to find some source of foundation or something that would help me or mentor me back into the society, because we live in a society that incarcerates us, but they don't accept us back. You see, there's no ritual to accept us back. When we're going in, they got flashing blue lights, red lights, helicopters, you know, it's a ritual going in. But it's a lonely process getting out. And that's the most, and the time mostly, where we need our community and we need our families. And that was my case. You know, after getting out of prison, after all of that time, I was blessed to be able to be embraced by Tia Chuchas and to give me the opportunity to tell my story, because that's what this is all about. When we talk about trauma to transformation, we're talking about transforming traumas. And there's no one human being that is without trauma. Whether you were the participator, whether you were the victim, or whether you were the witness to it, there's always trauma there. Everyone is affected. But the problem is, after being affected, we don't know what to do with it. We don't know where to put it. And oftentimes we find religion and think that religion is the place for us to put it. And for some people that may be the case. However, as a human being, human aspect, we know that it was art that was the spiritual and viable expression of human beings. No matter what culture, no matter how far you go back, man's first expression to the world was art. Whether it was pictographs on a cave, or whether it was a poem written by William Shakespeare, whether it was a Kokopelli, you know, story told by a shaman, or whether it was a rap song demonstrated on the streets of Brooklyn. Whatever it was, it's always been the human expression. So, for me, that was the case. Serving that much time in prison, I went through a lot. I tell the youth that I don't remember how many books I've read, and I don't remember how many fights I've had. But those two anomalies were the things that made me who I was. The fighting led me into the holes and the worst part of the prison industrial complex. And in one case, it was solitary confinement. This is where I became a poet. After all of those years in prison, after all of the riots, after all of the stabbings, after all of the shootings, after all of the chaos that comes with the prison industrial complex, I didn't discover or realize who I was until I was confined without human contact for 98 days. Showers every 3 days. Your humanity is tested. You see, I didn't fear dying. I didn't fear being shot. I didn't fear, you know, anything that the officers could threaten me with. What I feared was losing my mind. Because I felt that if I lost my mind, I'd be the last to know. And that was a problem that didn't sit well with me. Well, being in solitary confinement, that was a test of my sanity. And in order to combat insanity in an insane environment, I did what was free for me, what was ritualistic for me, and that was writing poetry. I wrote poetry on everything. I wrote poetry on all of the walls, I swear to God. I covered the walls in poetry, the ceiling, everything. Where psychologists came in to take pictures of the walls to see that if I was saying anything suicidal or threatening. But the only thing that they found was a pouring out. And it was something that I realized at that time, is that poetry is more than just words. Poetry is magic. Alphabets are runes. That's why they call it spelling when you put them together. They cast spells. And I used poetry to keep the walls at bay because they were crashing in. So if anybody tells you that there is no power in the spoken word, that's a reality that I don't understand. So with that said, what William and Ramiro and I do, we go into different institutions and we assist people like these brothers here in making that transition out. You see, I didn't have programs to help me deal with a lot of the things. Post-traumatic stress is real. You cannot serve a day in prison and not be affected. That's impossible. Now imagine serving a month. Imagine serving a year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. How shall that affect you? Where do you do with that stuff? Where do you put these things? You know what I mean? Where do you put this stuff? For me, it was writing. And this poem was one of the poems that I wrote on the walls of the prison. You know, and because it was a woman officer that came in and she said, yeah, now that they done taking all the pictures, she said, clean all this shit off the walls, except for this poem. And the poem she pointed out was this poem called People Are Cold. But it was an actual letter to my mom. And no, because I need to hear my voice. It's called People Are Cold. I've been through the cold and the pouring rains. Through so much shit, I don't know who to blame. My life has been crazy. Mama, look what they've done to your baby. I come from that part of the valley where the people are snow and the streets are cold. No matter how tough you are or who you know, you're still subject to lose your soul. My mother would sacrifice both joy and life. She would sell her body to make sure that we were dressed right and had a place to sleep at night. There was no man in the home, so she taught her oldest boy how to fight. By the time I was 12, I had to earn my way, bring in what I could to make sure that the bills were paid. I watched my mother cry when they robbed our place. So I chose my trade, officially became a man that day, like a home invasion that day. I've been through the cold and the pouring rains. Through so much shit, I don't know who to blame. My life has been crazy. Mama, look what they've done to your baby. I was running the streets with my hands in everything, while at church my little sister sang. I would grow fangs to protect my sibling from the pain I knew the ghetto would bring. Toting a 9mm, a bandana, and a sack of cocaine. On the front line of an urban war, not understanding what I was fighting for, but still putting brothers in the floor. Hating my life for being poor. Demonstrated, disconnected, striking at the core and not caring anymore. After all, this was war. I didn't know how many more days I'd see. I was only 15 and had grown men shooting at me. Ducking so much I never knew where I'd pop up. The cops killed Buttons. Crips killed Lindog, and when Tick went down, I didn't even have time to grieve. I was just a kid trying to breathe. I've been through the cold and the pouring rains. Through so much shit, I don't know who to blame. My life has been crazy. Mama, look what they've done to your baby. Even though by law I was still a child, cast into the wild, sentenced to 15 years to life in prison, man, never again will I smile. Before I see them streets again, it'll be a while, and the last time I saw my mother was during trial. My life has been rough, but I'm still here. This shit hasn't beat me yet, despite the endless years. I've realized that I've got nothing but God to fear. Sometimes life's unclear. Now I guess it's healthy to shed that tear. After all, I'm still here. I've been through the cold and the pouring rains. Through so much shit, I don't know who to blame. My life has been crazy. Mama, look what they've done to your baby. Now, poetry. The beauty about poetry and the difference between poetry and hip hop, because when we look at hip hop and rap, the brother came up and did some rap that was beautiful too, by the way. The difference between rap, though, and poetry is by rule. Poetry is honest. Poetry demands honesty. Whenever you hear spoken word, you don't hear nobody getting up here bragging hyperbole, or hyperbole. No. Rap, though, it's about hyperbole. It's about bragging what I got. Look at my house. I got a dog that ski. You know what I'm saying? The most outlandish you can be, the more creative it is, the more accepting it is, right? But it's art. It's still spoken word, and it still holds that same power, and that's why big industries control it. So you see, poetry, on the other hand, it's a thing that's spoken from the source. It's spoken from the soul. And it's always honest. So when we teach at Trauma to Transformation, the only thing that we ask the people when we're talking about creative writing is, be honest. I don't care about your spelling. I don't care about your diction. I don't care about your grammar. I don't care about any of that. Only thing that I care about is the honesty you put on the paper. Because this honesty is your truth. This truth is who you are in the world that we live in today. And we living in some crazy times. And that brings me to this next poem. This is one that I wrote after a conversation with my great-grandmother. My great-grandmother, I'm trying to find my roots, right? And I wanted to know my history. What's my culture? Where do I come from? And I'm thinking she finna tell me that I was somewhere in West Africa, with some king riding on the back of, some majestic-looking camel or something. I don't know. But that wasn't the case. Come to find out that my family were Choctaw Indians from Louisiana, the Chifonte and mound builders. That our generations have been back. We even gone back 6 generations. And 6 generations in Louisiana, were a forgotten people. We were written off people. We were reclassified as Negro because of the complexions of our skin. And by doing that, our whole identity was wiped away. And that was amazing to me. And considering the power of spoken word, I had to say something to it. So this is what came out. Remember me? I'm the aborigine of every land the eye could see. The founder of every civilization buried beneath the land or sea. The first exposure of what man couldn't see. The architect of spirituality, you drew it out of me, a lobotomy, and then made the shit insanity. You're mankind and I'm humanity. Remember me? I'm the scorched by fires burning at the earth's core. I'm the one made of earth with the soul burning at its core. The first to be where none has been before, done like none before. Your future is cold, considering everything you hold you've stolen. My face is carved into the hillside, but still you act like you're not knowing. I'm the sun you use for growing. Remember me? But you'll be humbled for your pretending like my best half didn't birth you into existence. Heaven rests at the feet of the mother, and she's expecting your repentance. I'm the warrior scholar and the reality of your sentence. So how do you plead? Now, do you remember me? I'm the aborigine of every land the eye could see. Now, this last one that I'll do is the last poem I wrote in prison. Now imagine serving, almost 30 years, man. Like I said, leaving the streets. My reality was from a 16-year-old's perception. So I don't know what in the world is going to be like when I go outside them gates. But here they are telling me after all of this time, you're going home at 5 in the morning, pack your stuff. Be ready. You think I went to sleep? Think I slept good? No. I did what I always do when I'm faced with some type of trauma, some type of anxiety, some type of struggle. I picked up my pen and I wrote. And this is the poem that came out. And it's important, even in hindsight of the poem. And see, and that's the beauty of spoken word, is it's self-therapeutic. Anybody, we always say, I'm not a poet. Yes, you are. If you have an honest opinion about yourself, then you are a poet. Simple as that. So I'm sitting back trying to figure out, what am I going to do? You know, what do I need to do? What do I need to prepare for? You know, what is it? Where am I worthy to even be out there? Because remember, part of the truth and reality is dealing with your own shit. And one of the things I realized, man, I took a life. I took a life. There are people who were going to be missing that soul, you know, for the rest of their lives. And all of this stuff started to reflect on me. You know, all of the things that I did in the community. Now, accountability is setting in on me. You know, I was elated about freedom coming, but this terrible, horrible reality of accountability was on my shoulders. And this is what I wrote. It's called Still Good in Me. My father beat my mother into induced labor, having fist fights with grown men, always trying to save her. Hopes of being a kid again was something to save her. Never knew I'd see the pen but a few years later. A child-made man in a man-made trial, then called by the world a life taker, a youth prison knife taker, surrounded by concrete like the monkey god, man. Plus life began to look odd, and feudal lords and tribal wars was a world of chaos at its core. A little brother gang banging at the door and scraping the other brothers up as a chore. At first step haunted, trained by 4300, and preying on the faces that look haunted. My habitats like iron woods, body tatted, a pup running with wolves. But I was searching for a part of me still good. The graffiti on the walls says no warning shots. And the will to survive now is all I got. Not to mention, I've been praying a lot. But the rage got my emotions in a knot. Like a burner in the place of a Glock, or a best friend shot on a prison yard smoking pot, listening to pop. Hard lessons at night point I'm forced to learn, while shot callers doing shoot terms, politicians treat the subject like a germ. Meanwhile, breath is my only concern. War went the kind that killed perm. This must be a glimpse of how hell be, knowing only God can help me. The devil's been trying to melt me, but that's not the life I was dealt, see. I knew that there was still good in me to see the man that I could be, should be, would be. That's when the reality of it all took me. You see, they wanted me repentant. That's why they called it the penitentiary. And it's been that way for centuries. The homies ain't been keeping the G, and the madness was making me lonely. Tired of the situation owning me, I needed freedom. Like a twisted soul down on its knees, or how a mother grieves for all the things that I've seen. Her gang-banging little boy out there running the streets. Man, she had the whole church praying for me. But there was a rage in me, the need for caging me. I wish that was strange to me, but that there is the good with me. You see, I knew I could be repentant, but I had blood-spilled enemies who hated the thought of forgiving me with the thirst for rep dreams of killing me. Still, the efficaciousness of prayer was healing me. I was a little boy living life like a grown man, but being guided by a strong hand. Understand? While raised by the best of society's rejects, my honors now reflex to see how deep my thoughts get, like knowing how cold the dark gets, but that hadn't touched my heart yet. If standing on my own to its success, I got that. After falling short, man, I'm right back. A tortured soul that wouldn't crack. I bled for it. I teared for it. I killed for it and served 27 years for it. But my Lord didn't bring me this far to blow it. There's something in me, man. I know it. I see it now despite the hood in me. I'm my mother's child. So there's good in me, a service to God and family with dignity as it should be. So like Los Angeles and them palm trees, tomorrow I'll lift my head and be free. And see, we do a lot of work with the incarcerated. And for me, that reminds me of this book I read called Death Gate Cycle. And the Death Gate Cycle was about a group of people being locked into a prison that was magically alive. They called it the Labyrinth. And the objective of the people incarcerated was to fight their way out of the labyrinth. And it was so tumultuous, it was so strenuous, it was so bad that hardly anyone ever made it out. But one guy made it out. Two, actually. One guy made it out, and he goes back in, and he pulls out another guy named Hoplo. And then, so it's Czar and Hoplo, they standing there outside of the labyrinth, and Hoplo goes, "What are you gonna do?" And he said, "I'm going back in." And he said, "You go back?" He said, "Man, I love you, man, but I'm not going back in there. I can't do it. And I think I'm the bravest person in the world, but I can't do it. I can't go back in there." Czar said, "I have to go back. If I don't go back, my fighting to get out was all for nothing." This work that we do, that Luis Rodriguez does, visiting all of the prisons all over California, I mean all over, not just California, all over America, the American continent. He's gone back into the labyrinth to pull people out. That's an amazing story. So amazing that they would title it fantasy. But we all know that it's real. So we hope to have your support, especially for the people out there. I was supposed to remind the people out there something, but I forgot. Patricia, what was I supposed to remind the people out there?
The survey.
The survey, yes. Please remember, please fill out the survey, for those that are watching that's out there, we'll greatly appreciate it, So again, I'll turn the floor back over to my dear friend, so that we can get that other guy that tried to get away for the spoken word. We got to get him back up here too. All right. All right. Oh, that ain't no other guy. That's my queen. That's Simi. What a way. Now that's a way to end it, right?
Hi, everyone. I wanted to share that I also used writing to save my life. And it was during the time that I wrote this piece where I was going through my own transformational healing. And I would write poetry to empower myself, to keep going and keep saving my life. This piece is called Tumbleweeds, because a lot of the fighting that I had to do was alone. Ever called out for a lifeline in hopes that you would be heard, and all you see is tumbleweeds rolling past you in the dirt? It gets hot in the desert sometimes, walking miles alone, searching for something to quench your thirst. It breeds a drive to go seek and find what your soul is after. It's like tossing and turning over, waiting for what you deserve, or acting upon what you're eager to earn. But you would discover greater value onto the path of what you learn. Even your spirit has to eat. So stuff your face until you become a gluttony for balancing each portion on your plate. Lick the passion of your creativity to the bone. Take big bites of your self-confidence. Chew and swallow it so fast that it causes a heartburn. Reflux the willpower to find the heart of what matters. Regurgitate the oracle of everything your mind thinks it could until your higher self knows you should. There is enough to go around. We reap what others have sowed. So tell me, how much greater would your hunger be if you were the ones who were bought and sold? Trade lack of knowledge for a greater truth of what you've been told. Struggles and shortcomings can be seen in the eyes of each person that you know. So there's no excuse for not willing to grow. Grab a shovel and some rocks and pave a road. Because you're going to look up one day and notice that the one you expected to hold your hand will be gone. These days, people don't apologize for going after what they wish to own. So move ahead and go for what others won't. Thank you.
Okay, everyone, thank you. That's it. Thank you for everyone's participating. Thank you for being a part of this festival. It was amazing. It was great. Thank you, Ramon. I appreciate the drumming. And so, yeah, and that's it. And so we'll see you again next time. Thank you.